When this brother and sister were about to go on a date together, a hunter stopped them and immediately killed the boy. But for some reason, the boy healed and came back to life. The hunter was there to test their healing ability. Because of this, he kept killing both of them over and over again, and every time they died and recovered, the hunter gained experience points that helped him level up. This went on for quite some time, for years, after he kidnapped them and locked them in a basement. He wasn't the only one using them to level up. He formed a guild with 5 of the strongest hunters, and all of them used the siblings to level up and became the most powerful S-rank hunters in the country. Each hunter used different methods to level up, and some of them went even further than just killing them. But the brother and sister belonged to an immortal species and could heal endlessly. So they were forced to endure the pain of dying again and again. One day, the hunters left the basement without locking them in their cage, thinking they were too weak to even move. They believed the siblings could only heal after dying. That day, the hunters had to leave for a job far away, as they were famous as the strongest hunters who had defeated an S-rank demon. However, one of them stayed behind because he wanted to gain a few more levels by using the siblings. Meanwhile, in the basement, the brother was still pinned to the ground. The girl was completely broken. They had used every part of her body in their attempts to cleanse themselves. She thought that if she destroyed her own body and healed again, maybe she would feel better. To free her brother, she cut off the parts that were pinning him to the ground. Then, to trigger his regeneration, she struck him directly in the heart. When she killed her own brother, her level increased. This was something she had never even imagined. The hunters had been doing this for so long, and that's how they had become so powerful. Her eyes filled with pure darkness. The two of them wanted revenge, and even if it meant committing the same sins, she was ready to do it. Her brother understood what she meant and replied, "Do it now." In that dark and cold place, they killed each other thousands of times, reaching nearly 1,000,000. Now, they were on a completely different level. When the hunter returned to the basement, ready to continue his game, he saw something terrifying. The two of them were evolving together. He shouted that only he was allowed to do that, but in the blink of an eye, as the siblings regenerated, their bodies had become far stronger. Their weak and helpless forms were gone. Now, they were like ferocious wolves, ready to attack. He fell back in fear, but then remembered that he was an S-rank, the pride of the nation. So he released his magical beast to fight. The boy had seen this before, and he was confident. He pushed his sister aside and told her to watch how much they had changed. His expression was now as cold as ice. Even the piercing gaze of a dragon could no longer frighten him. Although the girl had become stronger, she was still scared after everything they had been through. So her brother protected her like a knight. The battle between an S-rank and a newly evolved immortal was brutal. Strength and combat experience were no longer enough when the boy drained all of the S-rank's energy. He said, "You'll pay for this in the worst way possible." Hours passed. The brother destroyed the S-rank's body and let it heal over and over again, many times, just to make him feel what they had endured for years. When the other hunters returned, they saw one of their guild members tied to the basement ceiling. His body was completely ruined. He was still alive, but even healing magic couldn't save him. The leader of the hunters then freed his friend from his suffering by cutting him into 2. Kaikara was furious, but Haruto simply explained that they couldn't save him, and it was done to end his pain. Now, the first priority was revenge, to make those two pay for this injustice. Meanwhile, Shin and Minori were running through the forest. As night fell and the younger sister could no longer run, feeling sharp pain in her legs, they decided to rest for a while. The reality that they had finally escaped slowly began to sink in. Shin gently stroked Minori's hair. After escaping that hell, he promised to protect her. Suddenly, the girl fell asleep in her brother's arms. He knew she was exhausted. He chose to stay awake and alert, unsure of when the guild might come after them. But sleep began to take over, and he struggled to stay awake, knowing he couldn't afford to fall asleep. Suddenly, Shin saw 2 people running through the forest and jolted awake with a rush of adrenaline. He could clearly sense an evil presence, just like the ones who had tormented him for years. Believing that Minori was safe there, believing she would be safe there, he rushed off at high speed to chase the attackers. He followed the source of that evil presence until he reached a house in the middle of the forest. Thinking they would soon sense his presence, he stayed alert. Suddenly, a man emerged from the shadows behind him and stabbed a knife into his neck. A group of strange people surrounded him from between the branches. He wondered who they were, as he had never seen them before. The attackers closed in on him from all sides, trapping him. They said he was the one they had been looking for. But they also remembered there was a girl. 500 million just to kidnap one person. This was supposed to be an easy job in their minds. The group's mage cast a strength spell on his teammates, boosting their power. Excited by their newfound strength, one of them attacked Shin first, thinking it would be an easy task. When he saw the young man fall to the ground, it looked like his bones were completely broken. But then Shin simply snapped his neck back into place, shocking everyone, because he should have been dead by now. He asked if they were part of the guild, but when they didn't answer, he decided it didn't matter who they were. Suddenly, he vanished and reappeared from the side, striking one of them with a punch to the stomach, killing him instantly. For Shin, anyone who showed him evil, no matter who they were, became his enemy. Moving forward, one of them tried to tear off his arm. But Shin grabbed his severed limb and threw it aside, then landed a punch straight into his opponent's face. As soon as he took one down, his arm regenerated, and he immediately prepared to attack the next enemy. Throwing a powerful punch with his newly formed arm, he knocked down the remaining 3. After that, he noticed only the staff-wielding mage was left. She was clearly terrified of his strength and cast a spell called Purple Light. It struck him directly. No matter how strong someone was, no one could withstand that kind of magic beam, but to her shock, Shin stood up immediately afterward without a single scratch. Amazed by his regeneration, the mage kept casting more spells, firing multiple purple beams at him. Yet, he just kept getting back up unfazed by the damage. The moment she tried to run, he didn't let her escape. Shin chased after her, and after hanging all the enemies from the trees, he stole clothes from one of them. He decided to spare their lives and then returned to take care of his sister. He apologized for waking her up. Minori asked where he got those clothes from. Shin lied, saying a kind person had given them to him, and his sister was relieved. He had brought clothes for her as well, which made her excited. Now that they had changed, they decided to move forward along the dirt road. The Immortal siblings continued their journey toward freedom. Shin believed that if they went a little farther, the guild wouldn't be able to find them. They decided to rest under a waterfall, lighting a fire behind the falling water. He had brought food for both of them so they could regain their strength. The mercenaries had weapons and emergency rations, which he had taken, but they didn't have any useful information. Shin told his sister that he was going to the city to gather information and get some necessary supplies, telling Minori to stay well hidden. When he reached the city, he was surprised at how technological everything was. He sold a piece of equipment, which earned him a lot of money, allowing him to buy plenty of supplies. With the money he earned, he could finally feed his sister properly. He wondered what to do next. After all, Abe was the weakest among them, while the others were far more monster-like. He needed to find their weaknesses to make sure he could drag all of them into hell. Looking up at the sky, he saw an airship broadcasting news that the S-rank hunter Abe Teru had been. Kira went live and started speaking. He said that his friend, who had always helped them, had been brutally tortured and killed. He declared that he would never forgive those who had taken his life. Then, during the broadcast, he showed the faces of Kirishin and Minori to the public to provoke anger among ordinary people. Now everything became clear. Those earlier enemies had been hired to kidnap them. During the broadcast, Haruto directly addressed Shin, saying that he would have to face the consequences and that hiding was useless because they would find him. The news caused a massive uproar among the people. Everyone now wanted to see the two siblings destroyed to avenge Abe. They refused to forgive the criminals who had killed their hero. Shin realized that Kira was hiding his own crime, and he felt it was his duty to drag him into the underworld and expose him. The scene shifted to the past. A few days before the Kiryu siblings escaped, Kaikara was punching a man, calling him useless for not bringing any valuable information. Aya said that their levels had already increased enough, and they no longer needed this. Sora was very worried that what they had done to the Kiryu siblings might be exposed. Haruto calmed him down, saying that he would present them to the world as disgusting criminals to prevent that from happening. He knew that no one would believe fugitives who had a bounty of 500 million on their heads. Kangu saw this as part of a plan to let them escape alive after what had been done to Taro. Furious, he said he could never forgive them for hurting his comrade Abe. He wanted to make sure he would capture both of them and show them a kind of hell they had never experienced before. Aya understood how he felt but pointed out that Taro had been the weakest among them, which was why he had been targeted. Enraged, Kangu tried to punch the table for speaking badly about his dead comrade, but magical restraints appeared and stopped his attack. The mage who cast the spell told him to calm down, saying that he didn't think the siblings were any real threat. But for Kangu, this wasn't about fear, it was about revenge. For Kangu, it was about revenge, not fear. The argument ended when Kira stopped them. A message had been written in Taro's blood. It said that they would kill all of them. This meant the siblings still considered them their targets. Haruto told everyone not to panic because he knew that curious people would soon show up. The world was on their side since their names, faces, and bounties had been revealed to everyone. Information about the two would soon come out. When Kangu tried to argue again, Haruto said that panicking wouldn't help because they were famous heroes all over the world. They needed to prepare to face the Hell Lords, and for now, they would rest because everyone was exhausted. But Kaikara couldn't rest. Hatred was boiling inside him. He had made up his mind to find the siblings and kill them. Meanwhile, the two siblings were together near a waterfall. Minori was sleeping peacefully because illusion magic allowed her to rest calmly, unaware of any danger. After resting, they knew it was time to leave because staying in one place for too long was dangerous. Shin warned Minori that they were now criminals. Their faces were known in every city, so they needed to be careful. He came up with the idea of wearing masks to hide their identities, even if it slightly reduced their vision. The Kiryu siblings wore masks and saw that they worked well, even if they had to face enemies. As they were leaving, Minori asked Shin if they had any destination. Her brother confirmed that he had already decided. They were heading to a dungeon, a world separate from the real one. Kira was speaking live. He said that his friend, who had always helped them, had been brutally tortured and killed. He declared that he would never forgive those who took his life. Then he showed the faces of Kirshin and Minori on the broadcast to ignite anger among the public. Now he understood that the earlier enemies had been hired to kidnap them. During the broadcast, Haruto directly addressed Shin, saying that he would have to face the consequences and that hiding was useless because they would find him. The news caused a massive uproar. People now wanted to see the siblings destroyed to avenge Abe. They would never forgive the criminals who killed their hero. Shin realized that Kira was hiding his own crimes, and he felt a duty to drag him into the light. The scene shifted to the past. A few days before the siblings escaped, Kaikara was punching a man, calling him useless for failing to bring good information. Aya said they had already grown strong enough and no longer needed this. Seiya was worried that what they did to the Kiryu siblings might be exposed. Haruto calmed him, saying he would portray them as vile criminals to the world. He knew no one would believe fugitives with a 500 million bounty on their heads. Kangu saw it as a plan to let them escape alive after what they did to Taro. Furious, he said he would never forgive them for hurting their comrade Abe. He wanted to capture them and make them suffer in a way they never had before. Aya understood his feelings but said Taro was the weakest among them, which is why he was targeted. Enraged, Kangu tried to punch the table for speaking badly about his dead comrade, but magical restraint stopped him. The mage who cast it told him to calm down, saying the siblings weren't a real threat. But for Kangu, this was about revenge, not fear. The argument ended when Kira stopped them. A message was written in Taro's blood. It said they would kill them all. That meant the siblings were still targeting them. Haruto told everyone not to panic. The world was on their side, their names, faces, and bounty were public. Information about them would surface soon. When Kangu tried to argue again, Haruto said panic wouldn't help, they were world-famous heroes. They needed to prepare to face the Hell Lords and rest for now since they were exhausted. But Kaikara couldn't rest. Hatred boiled inside him, and he was determined to find and kill them. Meanwhile, at a waterfall, the siblings were together. Minori was sleeping peacefully thanks to illusion magic, unaware of any danger. After resting, they knew it was time to move. Staying in one place too long was dangerous. Shin warned Minori that they were now criminals, their faces known everywhere, so they needed to be careful. He came up with the idea of wearing masks to hide their faces, even if it slightly reduced their vision. The siblings wore masks and confirmed they worked well. As they left, Minori asked if they had a destination. Shin confirmed he had one. They were heading to a dungeon. A world separate from reality, hidden behind a gate, where normal laws didn't apply. Ordinary people weren't allowed inside. The dungeon area was difficult to cross, but it was the perfect place to hide. According to a guide Shin bought, there was a poisonous swamp on a mountain peak, a dangerous place hunters rarely visited. That made it the perfect base. Soon, they found the magical gate. No matter what happened, they would stay together. Holding hands, they jumped into the portal. Upon arrival, they were shocked. The swamp truly looked poisonous. Even though no one else could survive there, they decided to stay cautious. A hunter could still use antidotes and come after them. At that moment, Shin stepped on a plant that invaded his mind. He quickly warned Minori not to step on vines, as seeds would burst out. This place was full of traps. Then Minori pointed ahead. They were shocked to see a massive white wolf and a giant black wolf. Shin told her not to worry about the monsters, he would handle them. He rushed forward, jumped high, and landed on the wolves. With a powerful punch, he shattered the black wolf instantly. But the white wolf bit off half his body. Minori froze, but Shin quickly regenerated. Even so, the monster's speed and strength were on another level, stronger than Abe, Teru, and even the Chimera. Minori used magic to help him. It forced his severed limbs to move on their own and attack the monster. His detached hands forced the wolf's mouth open. The moment it opened wide, Shin lunged through it, ending the fight. Exhausted, he was panting heavily and sweating, worrying his sister. Even though he won, he was clearly drained. He realized the strength he used came from Minori's magic. Seeing red lightning flowing through his body, he acknowledged how useful it was. He looked clearly exhausted. He believed that the power he used to defeat the wolf came entirely from Minori's magic. Seeing red lightning flowing through his body, he admitted how useful it was. It had helped him win. Meanwhile, somewhere else, 1 month after the siblings escaped, Kangu picked up a massive rock while his men were fighting monsters. He threw it with full force and took down the blue wyverns. Then he jumped onto another one and attacked it before it could react. He brutally started tearing off its wings, and as he fought, his level kept increasing. As expected, Kangu defeated the wyverns with ease. Later, while eating inside a cave, Kangu asked about the siblings' whereabouts. His men told him not to rush. Rumors said that hunters everywhere were desperately searching for them because of the bounty. Then one man shared something important. He said a friend told him that the boy now wore a mask. A few days ago, that friend had gone to clear a poisonous dungeon and saw Kirshen defeat a venomous snake with his bare hands. That snake was an A-rank monster. Its poison could kill even an elephant. None of them could believe a human could defeat such a creature. Kaikara found it strange that such a powerful fighter existed without his knowledge. Hearing that someone had killed an A-rank snake barehanded made him eager to meet this masked man. He was determined. The man added that the incident happened 3 days ago, and the boy should still be inside the dungeon. Even knowing how dangerous and sealed that place was, one of his men tried to argue with Kangu, but the result was a punch. Kangu then declared that they would head to the poisonous swamp immediately. Kaikara was excited to find that masked man. Back in the dungeon, the hero suddenly sensed something. Startled, he climbed a tree to look toward the portal, feeling a presence approaching. He was certain it was Kangu. When he said he was going to meet him, Minori begged him to stop. But the hero told her to calm down, explaining that he had grown stronger now. He had become stronger. This was the perfect chance to take revenge on that tyrant. He told his sister not to look so worried, assuring her that everything would be fine because he couldn't die. Even so, Minori warned him to be careful, explaining that despite his immortality, Kangu was even stronger than Abe. She then used her magic to boost her brother's strength, and he quickly set off. Moving stealthily through the trees, he activated a spell to enhance his vision. At last, he found his target, Kangu. Kangu was standing near the entrance of the swamp, clearly waiting for him to approach. Noticing a poisonous boar nearby, the hero decided to use it for a trap. He cut his finger with a knife and cast illusion and hypnosis magic on the creature. Then he commanded the boar to run toward a herd of other poisonous boars, setting up his trap. When Kangu and his men saw the herd charging toward them, they treated it as a warm-up. He ordered his men to stop trembling and attack the creatures. Crushing the animals with ease, Kangu shouted for more, as the fight felt too easy. After defeating the entire herd, he commented on how simple it was. But his men begged him to stop. Kaikara refused to listen. One of his men complained about extreme fatigue and difficulty breathing before suddenly vomiting blood. Soon, their skin began to melt, and they started coughing up large amounts of blood. Kangoo noticed the poisonous presence in the air and finally realized why his men were weakening. This wasn't normal. Poisonous spores didn't usually release such deadly toxins when killed. As he wondered what was happening, the hero suddenly appeared behind him. He launched an attack, but Kangoo easily blocked it. Turning around, Kangoo saw the masked man and realized that the rumors were true. The hero charged forward again and managed to cut off Chikara's arm with his knife. Even with the blade lodged in his arm, Kangoo countered with a powerful punch. The hero was sent flying backward, feeling the sheer force of the impact, and even the shockwave created by the attack. Kangoo's movements and durability proved that every rumor about his strength was true. He pulled the knife out of his arm and declared that he liked the masked man. He explained that he admired strong people and despised the weak. His men had died because they were weak. Impressed by the masked man's strength, he invited him to join his group. If he served under the Byakuran banner, he would gain money, status, and women. Everything would be his. Kangoo then asked if the offer sounded good. He repeated his belief: he liked the strong and hated the weak. He admitted that he thought the men he brought into the swamp had potential, but he was wrong. They only annoyed him, and now he regretted not using them as punching bags for training. The hero remembered the suffering he had endured and asked why Kangoo tormented the weak. Kaikara replied that he simply enjoyed it. He explained that when he punched the weak, their reactions were always the same: they begged for forgiveness, said the same things, and their faces twisted in fear. Watching their terrified expressions made him laugh. Their suffering brought him joy. Hearing this, the hero was filled with rage. He charged forward and punched Kangoo in the face. Kangoo believed that as men, they should fight, and he even praised the hero's punch. Immediately after, he prepared a powerful counterattack. But Shin managed to dodge to the side. In the next moment, he grabbed his dagger and stabbed it into the villain's arm. Kangoo had no intention of letting him live, but he acknowledged that his opponent was strong. Shin had already suspected it: Kaikara was a monster. And that belief was confirmed again when he saw him preparing another brutal attack, his face filled with hatred. A devastating, bone-crushing blow landed directly on Shin, sending him flying. As he was thrown back, Shin realized that this was the heaviest hit he had ever taken in his life. He felt that he had just experienced the true peak of Kangoo's strength. Kangoo walked toward him and asked if he had managed to withstand the impact. To his surprise, Kangoo claimed he had been holding back, using only 30% of his full power. This revelation shocked Shin. He couldn't believe it wasn't even a full-strength attack. His enemy then encouraged him to use everything he had, including his weapons. He declared that he would endure any attack the masked man threw at him, just to prove who was stronger. Shin charged forward and attacked with his knife, but the blade shattered upon impact with Kangoo's body. Kangoo said that against his full strength, such a weak knife couldn't even leave a scratch. He told Shin that by now, he should understand the difference in their power, and that he could never win like this. But Shin responded with a barrage of punches. Kaikara admitted that Shin was the first person to challenge him like this even after witnessing his strength. This made the villain like him even more. In response, he delivered a powerful kick that sent the hero flying once again. Curious, he slammed the boy into the ground, but he was disappointed. He had expected more from Shin and now believed he was dead, but then, Kangoo noticed a pool of poison on the ground, and in the next moment, a knife was thrown into his shoulder. He found it impossible that Shin's body remained intact after being submerged in poison. He no longer considered him human, even though he still hadn't realized who he truly was. Suddenly, something clicked in Chikara's mind. He lunged at the masked man with full force, trying to grab him, but the hero dodged the attacks. Kangoo then prepared a magical punch and slammed it into the ground. The impact shattered the entire area, creating a massive explosion that sent Shin flying. A huge crater formed, and the force knocked Shin's mask off. Seeing his exposed face, Kaikara burst out laughing. He finally realized the truth: this was the Immortal he had been searching for all along. He declared that he had been looking for Kiryu Makoto Shin for a long time, and now, he had finally found him. Kaikara couldn't believe that the masked man was actually him. He realized that Shin had survived all those attacks only because of his regeneration. With rage in his voice, he shouted that he had been searching for him for so long, to avenge Taro's death. With this revelation, Kangoo changed his mind about recruiting Shin. Filled with hatred, he declared that he would kill him instead. The hero replied that killing him wouldn't bring him satisfaction, because he planned to do far more than just defeat Kangu Kaikara. The two faced each other, and the tyrant charged again. He hurled rocks at the hero, and one came so fast it tore off his arm. Immediately after, Kangu prepared a powerful upward kick. As it landed, he shouted that this time, he wouldn't let the Immortal escape. The impact shattered the ground even further, expanding the crater, but the hero didn't hesitate. He rushed toward Kaikara at incredible speed and punched him straight in the face. Kangu barely moved. He mocked him, asking if that was all he could do. To show what a real punch looked like, he delivered a brutal blow to Shin's face, sending him crashing into a rock. Coughing up blood, Shin trembled after the devastating hit. Kangu laughed loudly, seeing the fear clearly visible in the boy's body. The hero was terrified. He started running, staring at the horrifying face of his enemy, who realized that Shin had remembered the same fear he once felt while being tortured. Makoto ran desperately while the giant man slowly walked after him. Suddenly, the Immortal shouted, and his severed arm lying on the ground flew toward its target. Without even looking, the villain destroyed both the arm and the magic. Realizing Shin was trying something, he arrogantly declared that he wouldn't lose to such a trivial trick. Right after that, he delivered another powerful kick to the boy's stomach, asserting his dominance. Then he stepped on Shin's head and demanded to know how he had become so strong in such a short time. He warned that he would keep beating him until he got an answer. From Shin's expression, Kangu realized that his sister must be nearby. He declared that after killing him, he would go after Minori next, and destroy her as well. He wanted to see if she would entertain him as much as Makoto did. The hero burned with rage, but he couldn't move as kicks kept crashing onto his head. Finally, the giant lifted his foot, planning to crush his head completely and bind him before he could regenerate. But in an instant, the hero vanished. He reappeared behind Kangu, his body surrounded by red and black lightning. His regeneration speed had increased even further. In the blink of an eye, Shin disappeared again and reappeared in front of his enemy, preparing a punch. When their fists collided, a massive shockwave erupted, releasing an enormous amount of energy. Kangu noticed that the boy had become faster, but still underestimated him. The boy had become faster, but Kangu still considered him weak, thinking he was completely overwhelmed. He threw more punches than Shin could recover from and asked if his regeneration was falling behind. Kangu punched the boy's arm, tearing it apart, and Shin reacted with intense pain. The villain wondered how long Shin's weak defense could last. Then another kick was delivered to the hero, causing him to lose yet another arm. Kaikara said that Shin was just healing and defending without thinking, calling him incompetent, then noticed a slight smile on his face. He asked why. The hero replied that he had just thought of something. He realized that Kangu was a mindless idiot. Shin noticed that all of his severed body parts were filled with red and black energy. Our hero then commanded all those parts of his body to move. His severed limbs began attacking the villain. Kangu said such weak attacks didn't matter to him. He blocked all the punches and counterattacked, but he was surprised by their strength. He found it strange because the boy had been trembling in fear just moments ago. Our hero was still scared, but something inside him was growing, something so powerful that he could pour all his hatred into his attacks. With his remaining arm, he prepared a powerful punch surrounded by magical lightning. As soon as he struck, he shattered his enemy's arm into pieces, leaving him shocked. Shin challenged him, provoking Kangu into a battle of strength. This enraged the enemy, who shouted that he would turn the Immortal into a punching bag. Kangu charged at him like a raging bull, swearing that he would make sure he never recovered again by tearing him into pieces. Our hero then commanded all his severed arms to gather in one place. In this way, he formed one massive arm and used it to deliver the strongest punch of his life. As that giant punch landed, the enemy was blown away by the overwhelming impact. Shin asked Kaikara how it felt to lose in a contest of strength. He said that all the hatred and fear the siblings had felt would now sink deep into the villain's body. All of that hatred and fear the siblings felt would sink deep into the villain's body. 1 week after the fight with Kangu, we see the guild's heroes at their base. Kira asks Soyo if the preparations to face the next demon lord are going well. Solo replies yes, and that they must work hard for Abe and Taro. For a moment, Haruto seems to forget about Taro's existence. Solo finds this strange. A moment later, Kira says he was just joking and that he remembers Abe. After that awkward moment, Solar says he hasn't seen Kaikara around. Kira replies that he is out searching for the siblings. He also says that the two of them made great punching bags back then. He tells the swordsman not to worry, Kaikara will bring them back soon. Their attitude makes Soyo uneasy, and he thinks that when the siblings return, he will train them so hard that they'll die. Just then, a staff member rushes in with urgent news. He says that a package has just been delivered, but it's no ordinary delivery. Soyo and Kira quickly rush to see what's inside, clearly worried. Aya says they can see for themselves what's wrong. Soyo then sees parts of Kangu's body, identifiable by his tattoos. Everyone believes it's Chikara's arm, and they become very concerned. Aya uses magic to confirm that it's not fake, it's actually his real body parts. Solo reacts badly and wonders who could have killed such a powerful man. Aya notices the brutal cut marks and the fact that the body parts were sent to them, concluding that this was done by someone filled with deep hatred. Since Kaikara was searching for the siblings, they believe the boy is responsible. Sono can't believe that the two of them had the power to defeat that brute. Kira says he already suspected it when Taro was defeated, even though he was the weakest. But Taro was still stronger than most hunters, and now Kaikara, one of the strongest people in the world, has been defeated. Kira is convinced that the siblings are far stronger than they should be. The swordsman, in anger, refuses to believe that they became strong enough in such a short time to defeat Kangu. Haruto then asks how they became so powerful so quickly. Sona explains that they leveled up by killing each other hundreds of times. Kira adds that defeating a high-level enemy gives a huge amount of experience points. The siblings probably killed each other repeatedly to level up faster. They became this strong to take revenge on the Byakuran Guild. This revelation scares Aya and Soyo, but they try to stay calm. Even though they feel bad for Kaikara, they must think about what to do next. Aya uses magic to calm Soyo's mind. And tells him he should rest. He thanks her and leaves the room. Meanwhile, Haruto tells the mage to leave him alone for a moment. After she leaves, Haruto picks up his old comrade's severed arm. He doesn't feel scared at all. Being sent something like this to him, stepping on his old comrade's eye, he calls the siblings fools. But that eye belonged to Makoto Shin, who was seeing everything through it. Now that the eye is destroyed, his connection is cut off. He decides that he needs to gather more information from the enemy's base. He is worried about Minori and decides to go back to take care of her. Meanwhile, the girl was waiting for him in front of the guild's base. Sending the package was just a good excuse to go shopping in the city, since the food in the dungeon wasn't very good. Also, her clothes are magical, like they have a body memory spell. Even if they get torn or dirty, they automatically repair themselves, which is very useful. He brings some souvenirs for Minori, who was waiting for him alone. As he heads back toward the dungeon, jumping across buildings, he notices something strange, armed hunters chasing someone. The hero stops and sees that the person being chased is a young woman. He thinks it's better not to get involved since the area is under Byakuran Guild's control. But then the hunters surround the woman, thinking they've caught her. Seeing that the girl has stopped running, the hero realizes he can't just ignore the attackers. He jumps down from the buildings and rushes toward the hunters. Before they can say a single word, he lands powerful punches on them. Knowing there must be a reason they were chasing her, he tells the girl to run and escape. At that moment, he recognizes her and wonders finally, he comes back. His sister asks what happened as she sees the hooded girl in his arms. When she asks who the girl is, the hero tells her to calm down and look at the person's face. Minori is shocked to see that the girl looks exactly like her, they have the same face. Ishiki Soryo, the proud commander of the Byakuran Guild and the world's greatest swordsman, an S-rank, is known for his gentle looks. He is very popular and especially liked by women. His friendly nature and good humor win everyone's hearts. Finally, he comes back. His sister asks what happened as she sees the hooded girl in his arms. When she asks who the girl is, the hero tells her to calm down and look at the person's face. Minori is shocked to see that the girl looks exactly like her, they have the same face. Ishiki Soryo, the proud commander of the Byakuran Guild and the world's greatest swordsman, an S-rank, is known for his gentle looks. He is very popular and especially liked by women. His friendly nature and good humor win everyone's hearts. His jokes win everyone's hearts, but very few people know his true, evil nature. One day, while he was in a hot tub with several girls, one of them accidentally spilled alcohol into the water. Solar became furious and killed the girl over such a trivial reason. Earlier, when he saw Minori chained up, he called her the best. Unlike the other women, no matter how much he broke her, she wouldn't die. He proved it by cutting her with his holy sword, taking pleasure in her terrified screams. For him, hurting women was the greatest pleasure in the world. Shin was enraged that he always targeted Minori. To silence her older brother, Soyo shoved his sword into his mouth. Soyo found hurting men boring, he preferred attacking women and playing with them. He humiliated her in front of her brother and told her to scream louder. After finishing his disgusting act, he went to the base elevator and saw Kira and Taro talking. He noticed them entering a room that was supposed to be restricted to everyone except Haruto. Solar tried to peek through the door, but Kira caught him and stopped him. The swordsman apologized, saying he was just curious after seeing them go into the room together. Kira said he was just throwing something away and asked if Sora wanted to see. Curious, the swordsman entered the room and saw multiple tubes containing Minori clones. Haruto explained that he had asked to create multiple clones of Minori Kiryu. The idea was to use their power to mass-produce them so they could level up faster. They used Byakuran's resources and Taro's technology to create the clones, but the plan didn't work. Their healing ability was incomplete. After being killed about 10 times, a clone would stop regenerating. Also, defeating them didn't grant any experience points. Even after trying to improve them, Taro found the project too difficult and ultimately useless. So, they decided to dispose of all of them. Sonya asked if they were really going to throw them all away. Taro replied that he had a small trick. He intended to use the clones as much as possible before discarding them. But he admitted he wasn't satisfied because they weren't real. In a twisted way, the world's greatest swordsman told them to give the clones to him. Taro said they were useless because they had no emotions or identity, just broken dolls that obeyed orders. Soyo considered that perfect. Abe found it strange that he was so excited about dolls. But Solar explained that he didn't understand. It was about Minori Kiryu. He was in love with her and wanted to use the clones and play with them in every disgusting way possible. In his twisted mind, all rights over her belonged to him. Kira commented that he wasn't obsessed, he was dependent on her. Haruto, in response, called Soyo the worst kind of trash imaginable. Back in the present, the clone and the real Minori finally met. Both were in shock. Seeing this, our hero asked if his sister was okay. The clone revealed that Ishiki was still using dozens of Minoris. She explained that even though they weren't supposed to have emotions, the truth was, they did have feelings. The clone couldn't fully explain it, but everything changed when she accidentally saw the real Minori's face on TV. Something warm awakened inside her. At that moment, she realized that all the hatred and anger she felt was directed toward Ishiki Sora. As soon as she understood these feelings, she ran away from the mansion. She told them there were many others like her in the mansion and asked for help to save them. The hero then came up with an idea, to use the clones to defeat Sora. The girl didn't understand how, so he explained that since Ishiki didn't know the clones had emotions, he would lower his guard around them. They could use this strategy to defeat him. However, Minori asked what would happen if he discovered their plan. When he replied that, in the worst case, they would all die, his sister got angry. She slapped Shin Makoto across the face, saying that those girls never asked to be born, and now that they were alive, they shouldn't be used as tools and abandoned to die. Those girls were made from her cells, they were like her sisters. If her sisters were crying for help, it was natural for her to want to save them. She questioned him, asking if sacrificing all of them for a single goal was really the perfect way to take revenge. Our hero felt a weight on his conscience, realizing that this would make him just like the monsters of the Byakuran Guild. The clone then declared that they would save the others. Wanting to make things right, the hero said he would kill Ishiki Sora with his own hands for treating his sisters like trash. He apologized to his sister for scaring her and said they would go to the mansion together to save everyone. And so, the siblings passed through the portal and made their way out of the forest toward the mansion. Meanwhile, Soyo was punishing a clone, furious that another one, considered defective, had escaped. He punished the others for failing to stop her. He then ordered them to find the runaway and bring her back, an order they immediately obeyed. Minori's clones were seen running through the city streets, chasing a hooded figure. The chase continued until the hooded girl tripped over a box and lost her speed. The clones instantly took the chance and pounced on her, knocking her to the ground. They signaled that they had found and captured the target and were heading back. From the rooftop of a building, the hero and his sister watched the entire capture. He said that just as expected, they had followed her after her fake escape. The plan had begun. The hero then gave one of his ears to his sister Minori, while she marked an X on her face to act as bait. Using his ability to control his body, he could hear everything happening inside the mansion through that ear. If anything went wrong, he would rush in to save her immediately. When they arrived at Ishiki's main mansion, it was far bigger than she had imagined. The clones knocked on the door and announced that they had captured the runaway. Seiya asked why number 10 had run away. Pretending to bow, Minori apologized and said that she had chased a mysterious shadow, but had already dealt with it and there would be no more problems. He warned her that if she acted on her own again, she would be discarded. At that moment, Haruto called Seiya for a remote meeting and ordered him to finish it before he returned. The clones obeyed the command, and the hero heard everything through his magic. The girls then took Minori to the place where she was supposed to be executed. In the middle of the room, there were many bodies of other clones lying around, and the girl was terrified by the sight. Others were cleaning the area and disposing of the bodies. Minori started crying. It all felt extremely cruel and horrifying to her. Clone number 10 then told number 3 to run away with her to avoid such a tragic end. However, the other one asked why they should do that, since serving their master was their duty. Minori tried to make all of them escape with her, asking if they even understood what they were doing. They replied that they were simply disposing of bodies. She insisted that if they stayed there, they would never be happy, trying to wake them up to reality. But the girls asked what happiness even was, saying they were slaves who only existed to serve their master. They had no need for their own thoughts or desires. They said they only existed to be used, punished, and to offer their bodies according to orders. Hearing the clones think of themselves as mere objects, the hero grew furious at that bastard Seiya, insisting that this was wrong. Minori shouted that she knew herself better than anyone and hugged her counterparts tightly. She knew they had suffered a lot and that everything they went through was unbearable and painful. The clone she hugged told her to let go, but Minori refused, insisting that they had their own will and their own identity, they just didn't know how to express it. She declared that she would save them from that situation. Number 3 didn't understand, but she felt something stirring inside her. At that moment, Ishiki Seiya kicked the door open and interrupted them, declaring that he had not given the girl permission to speak. In anger, he slapped them across the face as punishment. He concluded that number 10 was defective and should be discarded. This scene brought back Minori's memories of when she was held captive at the Byakuran base and tortured. Seiya drew his sword. Seeing the hatred on the girl's face, suddenly one of them told the master to stop. He punished her for trying to give orders to number 3, striking her with the hilt of his sword. Watching all of them starting to come to their senses, he grew tired of it and decided to kill them all at once. As he swung his sword toward number 3, the real Minori stepped in front of her. When Ishiki saw that she had protected her counterpart, he was surprised by her action. But the moment he smelled and tasted her blood, he recognized her. The girl tried to attack him, but he was faster and drove his sword into Minori's chest. At that moment, he realized that she was the real Minori, and the hero heard everything through his magic. After his sister was captured by the villain, Shin set out on his rescue mission. Moving at high speed, he broke into Ishiki's mansion. The alarm rang, and the enemy realized that Minori's brother had come to save her, declaring that Shin would face hell because the mansion was surrounded by countless armed clones. They were trained combat clones, all looking like Shin's little sister. The villain wanted to see how far he could go, while the hero dodged every attack. The clones tried to strike him with spears, but he avoided every blow, until a sudden attack cut off his arm, as usual. Suddenly, clone number 10 came to help him, pushing away the attacking warrior. Another clone asked what number 10 was doing, and she replied that Shin was their real big brother. In response, the warrior said it didn't matter because the master's order was to eliminate all intruders without exception. For protecting an intruder, number 10 became a target as well and was now considered an enemy. The clones prepared to kill her, but at that moment, Shin regenerated and grabbed his mask. As soon as he put it on, a massive power began to swirl around him, and he told clone number 10 to leave everything to him. Meanwhile, in another place, Seiya struck Minori's face and laughed. He laughs as she screams in pain. He grabs her by the hair, smells it, and enjoys her scent. Getting excited, he throws a punch that sends her flying away. He thanks her for killing Kaikara and Taro, since they were starting to annoy him. Seiya asks why she came back after escaping his grasp, asking if she came back to belong to him again. Then he kicks her in the face. Filled with hatred for how he played with her and her clones, Minori gets up, grabs a dagger, and shouts that she will never forgive him. Mocking her, Seiya asks if she wants revenge after being tormented by him for so many years. Noticing how she even changed her path just to save the clones, he proves his point by grabbing clone number 3 and cutting off her head right in front of Minori. Shocked, she screams in panic and tries to injure him with her small dagger, but as a master swordsman, he doesn't even let her scratch him. To show his superiority, he uses his sacred blue sword to tear apart Minori's arms and then kicks her away. He says that the clones are not living beings and that he only plays with them until they break. To prove it, he instantly kills another one. Our heroine tries to save the fallen clone and glares at him with pure hatred, which is exactly what Seiya wants, to see her eyes filled with complete despair. The moment Minori steps in front to protect another clone, he attacks again with his sword. As her arms are cut once more, she casts a spell, shouting for the villain to stop moving. But Seiya says she doesn't understand the situation. The ones she is desperately trying to save are nothing more than disposable dolls. Seeing her desperation to protect her own kind, he laughs and says she should ask properly. He orders Minori to put her head on the ground. When she glares at him with hatred and refuses, he stabs another clone in the stomach. He asks if she really doesn't want to save them. Filled with anger, he shouts at her to obey his command. He warns her that if she refuses to kneel, he will keep killing her loved ones, proving his point by throwing small daggers at the clones and taking them down one by one, until finally, the girl kneels and begs him to stop. Killing yet another clone, he asks if stop is the only thing she can ask for. Placing her forehead on the ground, she begs him to stop hurting the clones. He says he will only consider it if she take their place. Pointing his sword at her, he orders her to lick his boot, saying she has no right to refuse. He pokes her with the tip of his sword and tells her that in his presence, she can only say yes, sir. Terrified, Minori finally gives in and says that she will do it. He then opens a door, keeping his sword on her at all times. Cold and merciless, in a single motion, he pulls out her tongue. Then he takes the severed tongue, puts it in his mouth, chews it, and swallows it, saying how delicious it is. Then he grabs her by the neck, declaring that she won't be able to escape, and starts tearing her clothes apart. Placing his sword against her neck again, he demands that she show him that fearful expression. He tells her to struggle, resist, and then finally submit to him. Just as he is about to do it, a powerful punch lands straight on Seiya's face. Our hero Shin arrives and delivers a devastating blow. After attacking the enemy, he rushes to his sister to check on her. From her expression, it's clear that she knew her brother would come. Meanwhile, Seiya gets up in anger and asks what he did to the clones in the mansion. Shin replies that he would never kill the clones because they were made from his sister. It wasn't easy, but he managed to subdue all of them. Seiya finds his attitude boring and says he would have done something better with those dolls, like capturing them and humiliating them again and again in front of their brother. The hero responds that it would be far more interesting when he crushes him 1,000,000 times. Shin throws another punch, but Seiya blocks it with his sword, only feeling its impact. The villain realizes how he managed to neutralize the clones with such strength. Immediately after, he throws Shin away and uses a sword technique infused with lightning magic. The attack tears off one of Shin's limbs. But the severed arm becomes surrounded by mind control magic and flies toward Seiya. The punch from the detached arm is incredibly powerful, sending the villain flying and destroying the entire area with its impact. When they reach the hall, Seiya orders the clones to form a wall for him. Shin feels pity seeing him hide behind the same dolls he used so cruelly. Seiya replies that it doesn't matter how he uses them, after all, they belong to him. Ending the conversation, he orders the girls to attack Shin. The hero dodges their strikes, but seeing his real sister among them only makes him angrier. Just as Minori tries to warn him about incoming attacks, he gets struck from behind. As his sister thinks Shin has lost focus, the clones grab him. Helpless, he shouts at them to let him go, seeing that his sister is being attacked at the same time. At that moment, Shin is hit from behind by a heavy strike from Seiya. Laughing, the villain shouts that Shin should have saved his little sister. Our hero apologizes to his sister and the clones for hurting them, as one of them was also struck. But clone number 3 says that it's her duty. Interrupting, Seiya says her only duty is to obey him. As Shin glares at him, he gets angry and starts attacking him. But the hero dodges every attack. When the hero reaches a higher place, Seiya threatens to kill one of Minori's clones. Just when he makes a move to attack the girl, Shin jumps forward and takes the hit. Continuing his assault, the villain asks if he won't strike back. If he does, then he will go after his sister instead. Seiya grabs his large sword and uses a destructive wind slash, cutting him in 2 pieces. Severely injured and torn apart on the ground, Seiya says that he will show him everything he is going to do to his sister. After kicking him, the boy quickly gets back up, regenerating. Seiya calls him a useless undead, but Shin stands up to protect all the clones. The girls ask why he is saving them, and Shin replies that he does it because he wants to protect his sister. Seiya says they are just dolls made by Byakuran's technology and not his real sister. Calling them slaves, he immediately orders them to kill him. Seiya desperately shouts at them to obey his orders. But now they understand what is happening and give no response. The clones begin to understand their origin and why Shin is protecting them so desperately. They all realize who the real enemy is and start surrounding the Byakuran villain. They turn against Seiya for hurting their brother, and the villain is frustrated by their rebellion. As clones of Minori, they understand their nature and realize that they are living beings and part of the same existence. They share a deep connection with the original. Because of this, the memories experienced by the real Minori begin to appear in the clones' minds, showing scenes where their older brother Shin was desperately trying to save them. Shin realizes that his physical manipulation ability allows the user to control separated body parts. Without realizing it, Minori had shared her experiences with the clones who have the same genes as her. Losing his composure completely, Seiya shouts and orders the dolls to obey him because he is their master. He says they should follow his commands. But now, anyone who tries to harm their brother will be their enemy. Seiya threatens that he will cut everyone there into pieces with his sword. But Shin does not let that happen and lands another powerful punch on the villain. As he falls to the ground, a Minori clone attacks Seiya with a spear. The fallen and defeated villain faces Shin, who asks how they should finish him. As already decided, the real Minori wants to do it herself. She will not be satisfied until she takes revenge with her own hands. While the clones hold Seiya's arms and legs, he begs them to stop. Minori then summons a giant hammer and uses that massive weapon to strike him, but one hit is not enough to calm her anger. Minori is determined to tear him apart. Just before his voice completely disappears, clone number 10 interrupts that moment and says that all of them have suffered unimaginable pain. They suffered. As dozens of them were killed by Seiya, she demands that he should feel the same. She wants to see him suffer even more. Shin understands the pain and abuse they went through from being killed again and again. It was a true hell on earth. It is revealed that in the basement of the mansion, a dungeon creature is being kept alive and drugged so that it can violate any living being, including men. Just like what happened to a hunter who once opposed Seiya, they all agree to use this cruel method for their final revenge. Minori and Shin go to the basement with number 10, where they tie the villain with iron chains. Helpless, Seiya watches as the cell is opened. A massive creature, an emperor orc, appears before the fake hero, who starts crying in fear. It is said that a single creature of this species has the power to destroy an entire country. At first, the creature was only interested in women, but due to Byakuran's drugs and modifications, it started attacking men without discrimination. Minori feels disgusted by this scene, and Shin chooses to look away. The moment the creature tears Seiya's clothes and licks its lips, the scene cuts off, ending this disturbing moment. Minori and her brother are clearly shaken and exhausted. They just want to rest. The clones offer to make tea and thank Shin for saving them and for not killing any of them during the fight. Number 10 expresses deep gratitude, not knowing how to repay her real brother. He accepts their thanks and asks them to show him around the mansion because he needs to gather food and information about the Byakuran Guild. While number 3 shows him the way, number 10 decides to stay there until the torture ends. During their conversation, the girl admits that she doesn't know what to do in the future because she was created without any choice, and she fears that the world will not accept them. Shin reassures her, saying that it's not true because he himself accepts them. He tells her that they don't need to find meaning for their birth right away. They just need to live. Then number 3 promises that she will live as best as she can, but suddenly, she is beheaded with a clean and precise strike. She is killed right in front of her brother. Behind her appears Kira Haruto, who hasn't seen the hero for a long time. To reach there, the Byakuran hero had already killed all the other clones. He faces Shin and, with a cruel smile, says that he is happy to celebrate their emotional reunion, but he still has something to do. He says that everyone present there must be killed. He makes a precise strike with his sword and cuts off both of Shin's arms. Kira says that he didn't react in time. As his severed limbs regenerate, our hero moves forward and throws a punch glowing with magic, but misses as his enemy dodges. Haruto finds him much slower than expected. Shin keeps trying to attack again and again, but misses every time. Kira says that attacks made without thinking are useless against him and shows how it is done. Preparing a spell, his attack destroys a large part of the mansion and hits our hero's arms. Seeing the damage he caused, Shin calls him a monster. Kira mocks him, saying that it sounds strange coming from an immortal person after one arm is destroyed. Our hero tries to activate his regeneration as quickly as possible, but becomes disappointed when he realizes his power is not working. Kira explains that his sword has a magic that stops Shin's regeneration. Our hero feels fear because Kira is different from the other Byakuran members. He cannot think of any way to defeat him and now only wants to ensure his sister's survival. So he no longer cares whether he will make it out alive or not. Shin then asks how he found their location. Kira replies that Seiya's report had stopped, so he came to check the situation and ran into Shin. It was lucky for Kira, but unfortunate for our hero. Haruto then asks who else is in the mansion, because the hero used plural while referring to the people there. The false hero already knows that Shin's sister is there, but he has no interest in avenging his dead comrades. In fact, he is pleased that the guild members were killed, because it means Shin and his allies defeated S-rank members and leveled up. That means if Kira kills them now, he will gain a huge amount of levels. Our hero thinks he is completely insane, although he slightly agrees. The false hero doesn't care. In an instant, he disappears from in front of the hero and reappears, stabbing his sword into his stomach. This strike causes massive damage, and Shin collapses in defeat. Kira gains a large number of levels and feels extremely happy. But Shin does not give up. He casts a spell that binds Kira's legs and says that he will still kill him. Using the sacred dome of sanctuary, Kira pushes our hero back, sending him flying into the air, and says that he will not lose. At his current level, the hero cannot even touch him. He keeps taking blow after blow, losing his blood. His regeneration power fails against Kira's full strength. The enemy gives Shin a chance. If he gives up and leaves quietly, he will let his sister go in peace. But if he fights, he will first capture him and then the girl. Shin asks if he is lying, and Haruto replies that it all depends on the hero's decision. Completely panicked, Shin kneels before the enemy and begs him to only take him. He pleads for his sister to be spared, and Kira laughs, mocking his lack of honor and pride. But in reality, Kira was lying and planning to kill both of them. Furious, our hero shouts and tries to punch Kira, who steps back and dodges. At that moment, all the remaining Minori clones arrive to protect their brother. Haruto sees that Shin has taken good care of them and that some still remain. When Minori arrives, the hero shouts at them to stop because nothing stands in their way. The clones begin to be eliminated one by one. But they say that even if they cannot win the fight, they can give the two time to escape. As Harushishi advances, they sacrifice themselves to repay the debt of saving them from that hell they lived. In an instant, using a teleportation spell, a clone succeeds in safely evacuating the brother and sister from there. Kira's attack misses, realizing that such a high-level spell requires too much mana. Seeing the spellcaster fall to the ground, he understands the difficulty of the situation. But he knew that even if all the clones attacked him at once, they would not defeat him. Suddenly, one of them rips her blouse, revealing a final move connected to her true purpose. After all, Ishiki had repeatedly used and discarded them according to his plan. Clone number 10 activates a magical biological bomb. She releases her soul's energy stored in a crystal embedded in her chest. With her last strength, she thanks Shin and Minori before self-detonating, destroying the entire mansion with immense force. Sagare Aya was considered the most beautiful woman in the Byakuran Guild. With her amazing beauty, gentle demeanor, and fair attitude, everyone loved her, but only the unlucky few who spent time alone with her discovered the terrifying secret she was hiding, like a man who caught her bathing in blood and saw her true face. 6 months ago, she went down to a hidden bunker in the guild's basement. Upon entering the room where the brother and sister were captured, she checked how much blood had been collected. Seeing that the work was only half done, she decided to speed up the blood extraction. When the machine stopped, she went to the panel herself and restarted it. The helpless siblings saw a massive fan right beneath them. Its blades began spinning at a terrifying speed, and they panicked as they were slowly being ground. Mesa Aya watched all this and laughed wickedly. Even though this method didn't increase her level, it didn't matter to her. As long as she could get their blood to drink for pleasure, that was enough. She had always thought that immortals would look like zombies. She never imagined their skin would be so soft. No matter how much they were tortured, their skin always healed perfectly, soft like that of a newborn baby. It was every woman's greatest dream, to always remain young. With eternal beauty and youth, men and wealth would come to her without effort. She was extremely jealous of the brother and sister because they were born with this power. By just drinking their blood, she could preserve her youth and radiant skin forever. She had discovered the formula to remain young and now wanted more of that precious blood for herself. Kira, the guild leader, was watching everything with a proud expression. At this moment, when the guild leader arrived at the place, the brother and sister were no longer there. He immediately wondered if they had managed to escape. Kira then calls Aya, pretending to express regret, but Mesa Aya was furious. She angrily demanded to know where the brother and sister were and why they had not yet been captured. Kira tells her that they had killed Soyo and escaped again. But Aya didn't care. She only wanted them captured as soon as possible. Kira doesn't fully understand this quickly. After all, they still had plenty of blood in stock, but she said the blood must be fresh to be most effective. Without a continuous supply, her beauty and youth would deteriorate. Kira says he doesn't care about her youth and complains that she's shouting too much. Aya calls him useless and orders him to stop babbling and immediately find the fugitives. Kira's face fills with anger. He asks since when she became so special as to give him orders and tells her he will capture them himself because he wants their blood so badly. Kira provokes her further, warning that if she stays this stressed, wrinkles will appear on her face. This makes her even angrier. Fueled by her rage, she sets the entire surrounding area on fire. Mesa decides that she will find the two of them herself. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Haruto wakes up and asks his sister where she is. She tells him that the clones had destroyed everything near the gate, and somehow they ended up in a dungeon. Shocked, the hero asks about the others, and Minori's face becomes sad. Our hero feels extremely sorrowful for not being able to save them. He feels like he broke the promise he had made to them. Seeing the sadness and anger on his face, Minori hugs him tightly, reassuring him that they understand because he fought bravely for their well-being. Haruto blames himself for not being able to save everyone. He feels an overwhelming desire to fix his mistakes. Through Minori, the emotions of the clones reach him, and Haruto realizes that in the end, they had decided to stay with him. Crying, Minori reassures him that he received their final message, their wish for him to continue living for all of them. This touches him deeply. But now he feels weak and wants to become stronger. His sister feels the same and holds his hand tightly, reaffirming their promise to grow stronger together. While he was unconscious, Karen made a new announcement about them. Minori, who initially thought it was news of Haruto's death, realizes it was far worse. The bounty on their heads has been raised to 5 billion each. Hunters are chasing them from all directions. They must exit the dungeon immediately because the pursuers can track them through teleportation points. Walking on a twisting path, they finally find a way out, illuminated by a bright light, but Haruto confronts Minori. He tells her to stop. On the escape path, they see a terrifying eye covering the entire path. Then the creature's full body appears, a massive, horrifying dragon, and Minori yells at her brother, telling him they should retreat back into the dungeon. But he wants to do the exact opposite. At that moment, the dragon exhales a destructive fire breath, throwing both of them away. After a hard impact, the creature begins flying above the area. They realize this is a high-rank monster that shouldn't be outside the dungeon. They don't understand why the dragon is here, but they know they have no chance of fighting it. The brother and sister start dodging its intense fire attacks. As they run, they spot a city and hope they are safe because dragons usually don't attack human settlements, but to their terror, the creature releases another fire attack, destroying a large part of the city. Its breath exceeds 3,000 degrees, a temperature capable of incinerating anything in its path. It could melt anything. Its skin, which could withstand even top-level attacks, makes it almost impossible to defeat. Only the combined strength of several powerful guilds would make fighting a dragon a viable option. Facing such a massive monster, the brother and sister wonder how they can survive. Then Shin suggests a dangerous idea, to attack the monster. Minori thinks he has gone crazy. but the hero says they will defeat the dragon and level up. He reminds Minori of their promise, saying that if they run now, they will never be able to defeat Kira. Shin moves forward from the left, while Minori circles to the dragon's right. The creature breathes fire as Shin looks for an opening. He puts on his mask, activates a magical enchantment spell, and attacks the dragon. Shin strikes from above, starting a balanced aerial fight. Since a dragon is a living being, its main weak point should be its head. He lands a powerful punch on its head, making it lose balance and stagger. His hand gets covered in the monster's blood, and he feels intense pain because the dragon's skin is extremely tough. Minori realizes she needs to aim for the gaps between its scales and moves into attack. She drives her dagger into those gaps, but the dragon barely reacts and strikes back with its tail, throwing her far away. Then it turns toward Shin and prepares another breath attack. The attack hits Shin directly, but his sister quickly appears to save him. Ignoring their attacks, the monster releases a terrifying red breath. Minori tries to block it with a spell, but even with her magic shield, she gets hit and her arm is badly injured. The black flames that consume magic continue burning her. Enduring the intense pain, she remembers the fallen clones and turns that memory into strength. Determined to become stronger, she breaks her own arm to stop the spread of the flames and faces the dragon head-on. Shin gets back up, saying the fight isn't over yet. It's the first time his bones have completely melted, something he expected from a dragon's breath. After recovering, he calmly breaks his own arm, casts a spell into it, and throws it at the monster. The magically charged limb hits the dragon with full force, and for the first time, it clearly shows pain. Seeing the opportunity, Shin shouts for his sister to act. She immediately attacks, feeling that she needs even stronger magic. Minori unleashes her infernal black flame magic at full power. The dragon screams in pain and starts weakening. Right after that, the hero appears in front of it, combining his severed limbs into a single weapon. Gathering all his strength into one point, he delivers a unified attack that tears through the dragon's tough skin. He then strikes its head with a massive blow. The dragon lets out one final scream as the attack drives it into the ground, completely defeating it, granting the hero multiple level-ups. After defeating the creature, the brother and sister feel relieved. Minori believes that after fighting the dragon's flames, her powers have awakened. As things calm down, they start wondering why the dragon was there, since they hadn't seen it when they passed through this place earlier. The hero realizes that someone was controlling it because of the purple glow in its eyes, the same glow they saw when they were hypnotized during the torture. To control something this insane with hypnosis magic, it could only be Mei Jya. As soon as he says her name, multiple dragons begin flying over the island. On top of one of them, two well-dressed people with swords can be seen. They jump down, and the hero suspects they are being controlled as well, because they immediately attack him and Minori. One of them throws a sword at the girl, but she dodges by rolling on the ground. Angered, the hero throws a punch that sends the attacker flying into the air. Right after that, a massive dragon appears, preparing a terrifying breath attack. When it releases the attack, it devastates the surroundings. The hero notices that the explosion covers a much larger area than the previous dragon's attack. This means their location has already been discovered, and even more enemies are appearing. Shin decides to handle the dragon and tells Minori to deal with the hunters who seem to be under hypnotic control. Seeing their strength, Shin tells her to fall back, realizing he had almost put her in danger. He says he will handle everything himself, but Minori is afraid to let her brother do everything alone. Remembering what happened against Sawyer in the mansion, she comes up with an idea and tells him she won't let him handle everything alone anymore. After all, this is their revenge. Working together, they attack the hunters using their spells. Using fire magic, Minori defeats 3 enemies at once. As the dragon prepares an ice breath attack, Shin charges forward and collides with it directly. Even after half his body is torn apart, he uses body manipulation to attack using his severed parts. However, the dragon bites off his legs, stopping his attack. Thinking quickly, Shin uses poison infusion, causing the creature intense pain and forcing it to collapse, earning him multiple level-ups. Meanwhile, the hunters keep attacking Minori, but she dodges every strike. Seeing more enemies coming from above, she is forced to create a magic shield to protect herself, until she gets stabbed in the back. Realizing there are too many targets, she refuses to hold back and uses black flame expansion, killing multiple enemies at once. She warns her brother that they need to finish this quickly to avoid permanent damage. Even after being burned by the black flames, the hunters stand back up. The hypnosis magic forces them to obey completely, keeping them moving despite their severe injuries. Suddenly, all the controlled monsters and hunters begin to step back. They line up in formation, just like the dragons, waiting for Sagiri Aya to appear from a portal. The siblings notice that Kira didn't come with her. Full of arrogance, the woman believes she can handle them alone. She explains that she shares all 5 senses with the people she has hypnotized, and that's how she located them on the island. He says she was brave to come without Kira Haruto. She replies that she doesn't need him to deal with 2 enemies she considers weak. Minori creates her black flames and says that arrogance always leads to downfall. She attacks Aya, but Aya completely nullifies the spell and remains completely unharmed. Aya had used living beings as a shield to protect herself from the attack. This makes Minori furious, and she cries because Aya doesn't value human life. When one of the hunters falls to the ground, Aya says that human life is worthless to her. As long as she is beautiful and strong,
that's all that matters. Everything else is disposable. Minori believes that no life is superior or inferior, but Aya disagrees. She says they are living in an illusion and that she will break it right now. Aya uses a purple lightning spell that devastates the surroundings and creates a massive crater between them. As Shin Makoto jumps to save his sister, Aya appears and tells him he should be more worried about himself. She uses hypnotic temptation and kisses him on the lips. Shin Makoto's eyes turn purple as he falls under her control, and his sister is terrified. Aya says she's lucky because now she won't have to do anything, and her youth will remain forever. Minori gets furious seeing her brother being hypnotized and attacks Aya. She strikes with her dagger, but her own brother steps in and takes the hit. Aya tries to invade his mind and says how cruel it is to stab your own brother. As Minori tries to attack again, Aya makes her brother counterattack with a powerful punch. Minori dodges and screams, trying to wake him up. She begs him to recognize her, but Aya says it's useless. Because her hypnosis can only be broken by her unless Minori defeats her with a stronger spell or kills the caster. Controlling Shin, Aya orders him to attack Minori, and he starts kicking her. After sending her flying with a kick, he moves forward and prepares another punch that lands directly. Aya knows how painful it is for Minori to be beaten by her beloved brother, who is far stronger than her. Minori grabs her dagger and decides to fight back to survive. Looking at her brother, she remembers the times when he was kind to her. That moment distracts her, and she takes a heavy hit. Lying on the ground without her weapon, she feels weak, thinking she can't fight Shin. He grabs her by the throat, lifting her into the air and making her feel helpless. She starts recalling the times when her brother saved her and remembers the promise they made to become stronger together. Still conscious,
Minori begins to mumble. Then, filled with hatred, she gathers all her strength. She screams with all her strength that she will kill that witch. Aya orders Shin Makoto to tear his sister apart. But Minori reacts first, cutting off his limbs. She apologizes to her older brother while dodging his attacks, and immediately after, she casts an explosive black flame spell, magic that covers a large area. Aya escapes through a portal, avoiding the attack. Minori had always believed that as long as she stayed behind her brother, everything would be fine. But now that wasn't enough. To save her own life, she attacks him calmly, breaking his arms and finally his head. But even without his head, Shin keeps fighting, throwing a punch at his sister. She can feel emotions and apology in his attacks. It was Minori who should be apologizing. After all, she was the weak one and had always held him back. But that was going to change. Now she would have the strength to save her brother too. As she keeps fighting, she levels up. In the end, she embraces him. While hugging him, she declares that she will become stronger, and then she explodes, taking Shin Makoto with her in a sacrificial attack. After the sacrifice, Aya tries to collect the blood of both siblings. She wants to heal them as quickly as possible and gets angry at the thick smoke that blocks her view. From within the smoke, Minori's voice is heard. She says Aya underestimated her by thinking she couldn't fight Shin. But since the day they escaped hell, they had killed each other many times. A massive amount of magical power radiates from the girl, and she says she had made her decision long ago. Shin Makoto thanks his sister for freeing him from hypnosis, and now they will fight together. Aya realizes that the explosion broke her spell and prepares to hypnotize them again. She revives all the hunters and dragons, ordering them to attack the siblings. Now stronger, Minori uses her dagger to block a sword attack. Her brother takes down a hunter, but immediately after, a dragon almost burns him to ashes. But then Minori saves him by casting a protection spell. She then uses her black flames to bring the monster down. Aya raises all the corpses once again and declares that fighting her is pointless. She says they will keep moving until their hearts stop forever. He realizes that if they aren't properly destroyed, they will just keep coming back to life. The siblings continue fighting the hypnotized people, who now move like zombies. Even after being badly beaten, one of them stands without a jaw, but his sister tells him that their movements aren't driven by magic and tells him to just knock them down. He understands and starts attacking them, filling his fists with magic. In the middle of the fight, an enraged dragon flies toward him, with Aya riding on its back. The dragon crushes the hero, pinning him to the ground. Seizing the moment, she tries to hypnotize him again with her spell, saying that no one can escape her hypnosis. Aya begins to laugh, thinking that the battle must have drained his strength and magic. She is confident that he will easily fall under her spell. He will fall under it. She orders him to kill Minori. Suddenly, he drops to his knees and prepares a magic-filled attack. Aya tells him to obey her command, but shattering her expectations, he delivers a massive punch straight to the villain's jaw, knocking her to the ground. She is shocked. She realizes that her hypnosis is no longer working. The siblings have reached a higher level, and her magic no longer affects them. With her teeth broken, Aya finds it impossible to believe that he broke her hypnosis. Enraged, she begins casting multiple destructive spells to eliminate them. Minori creates a shield and blocks all the attacks, saying that they are both immortal. Aya responds by launching even stronger spells, multiple meteors of different magical elements raining down on the siblings. The spells don't work. Minori defends against everything and then uses a black line spell. Despite the witch forming a shield, the black magic begins to break through her defense. She finds it strange that her magic is losing. The girl's spell hits her, burning her skin, and Aya starts burning and screaming in pain. A pain that Minori had felt many times before. Compared to the suffering the siblings endured because of Minori's magic, what Aya is feeling now is nothing. The younger sister wants her to feel it, and to do that, she uses Aya's own hypnosis spell against her, forcing her to live in an endless nightmare. After some time, Aya wakes up, bound inside the same capsule where the siblings were tortured. Recognizing the place, she becomes restless and screams to be let out. Even while chained, she demands to be freed. She tries to use a lightning spell, a meteor spell, a water spell, a wind spell, every spell she knows. She keeps wondering why none of her spells are working. When she sees the hero, she tries to get his attention, asking if he can hear her. Seeing him working on a computer, she becomes frustrated and asks what he's going to do. Then he presses a red button. A propeller beneath her activates, pulling the witch into it. Within moments, she begins to be torn apart, screaming in intense pain as her limbs separate from her body. But suddenly, she wakes up, thinking it was all just a dream. Then she realizes she is back in the same place, and the pain was real. Aya starts begging for her life, and the hero points toward a scoreboard showing a number. She understands, it represents the number of times the siblings were torn apart in that same torture. She realizes she will be tortured exactly that many times. The hero presses the button again, and the witch screams in pain. Eventually, she wakes up again, realizing she has endured the same amount of torture as they did. Aya thinks she will now be allowed to return to the real world, free from pain. She plans that once she returns, she will deal with the siblings and kill them. But the count resets and starts again, pushing her into despair. Just when she thought it was finally over, the button is pressed again, and she suffers again, screaming that she can't believe she has to go through all of this once more. Meanwhile, the siblings notice that the witch's body is drying up and becoming wrinkled. They realize that this is Aya Sagiri's true form. They understand that she was using magic to maintain a youthful appearance, because she was actually over 100 years old. The hero explains that she had lived for nearly 150 years. When the clan of immortals appeared, she discovered that by drinking their blood, she could maintain her youth. That's why she became obsessed with the siblings and eternal youth. Even after enduring the same torture as them, she still clings to her life. Shin believes that if they leave her there, she will eventually die of old age. The hero decides not to kill her and turns to leave, until his sister notices something shining in the distance. She finds a medallion and realizes that it was the item the witch used to control parents and children through hypnosis. Determined, she decides that this cycle of suffering must end as soon as possible. The witch wonders whether hours or days have passed, knowing her death is near. Suddenly, Haruto arrives, sensing her presence, and finds her on the brink of death. Aya begs him to kill her because she won't be able to live much longer. But Kira refuses and walks away, leaving her to suffer and rejecting her final request. This way, she will slowly rot, her appearance deteriorating too. He changes his mind. Now he says he's going to erase his little sister. His sword transforms. Eyes appear on it and it starts growing larger. He's furious that she escaped from Soyo's mansion, and to release that anger, he decides to kill her. With a crazed expression, Kira declares that because she made him angry, he's going to erase her existence completely. Filled with rage, Shin Makoto charges at him. He's overwhelmed with anger. He throws a punch, but Haruto easily dodges it. Then Minori attacks with her dagger. The enemy blocks both attacks. But Shin attacks again. The hero realizes that their combined attacks are actually affecting Kira. Minori channels powerful magic into her dagger and strikes toward her target. As he tries to dodge, the hero appears behind him with a charged punch. But Kira dodges again. Seeing the situation becoming dangerous, he uses magic. His sword gets infused with power, showing that he's also a major threat. Shin starts moving to avoid the sword attacks, but his arm gets cut off. He quickly tries to heal it, but realizes his regeneration isn't working. Blood starts pouring out, and he feels intense pain. His body can barely move. When Minori runs to help her brother, she gets attacked from behind. A powerful kick sends her flying through the air, crashing into trees before falling. Kira explains that he now has a sword that can kill immortals, because its wounds never heal. Unlike the toys he used before, this weapon can truly finish them. Shin falls into despair and screams, but Kira stays calm, smiling as he raises his sword and delivers a fast strike to end his life. The attack lands, and blood sprays out. Kira smiles, thinking he's won. But he actually cut Minori, who stepped in front to protect her brother. In an instant, her body is completely destroyed, and Shin is left in shock. He begins to cry, holding what's left of Minori in his arms. Her last word is his name. In despair, he tries to use magic to save her, but nothing happens. Completely broken, he screams, refusing to accept that this is the end. Her final words were that she loves him, and then Kira finishes her completely. Makoto can't do anything. Haruto casually says he doesn't like emotional family moments. He already knew that if he tried to kill Makoto, his sister would come to save him. Family bonds are useful, because Haruto predicted their exact move. Makoto looks at his sister's severed head, barely able to cry. A memory from when they were free flashes in his mind. He remembers her cooking for him, and both of them eating happily. Minori hanging clothes and saying that today is going to be a great day. He tells her it's time for school, and they'll go together. She had told him that Yoshida had invited her to the aquarium, and Makoto found it strange because he thought she didn't like aquariums. The truth was, she didn't want to go with Yoshida. It had been a long time since she had spent time with her brother, and Makoto was busy with his part-time job, so he invited Minori to go to the aquarium with him instead. She agreed, and they made a promise. The memory suddenly changes. As they were passing through a village, they encountered Haruto Kira. He asked if they were Kiryu Makoto and Kiryu Minori. Surprised, they said yes. Haruto told them that he had been looking for them for a long time, and had finally found them. Right after that, he drew his sword and said he had come for their bodies. With a single strike, he cut Makoto in half right in front of his sister. The girl broke down in despair and started crying, but within moments, her brother's body regenerated. Haruto was amazed by this healing ability. Even Makoto himself didn't know he had such power. This proved that the information he received was true. They were immortal. He struck again, cutting off both of their heads and killing them. Seeing that they kept regenerating no matter how many times they were killed, he was shocked. He had never imagined such monsters could exist, descendants of immortals, yet the brother and sister had no idea about their true identity. He quickly killed them again and captured them, stepping on their heads. From that moment on, they became his food, and the torture began, never stopping. Haruto Kira used his sword to kill them hundreds of times, promising to make good use of their bodies. Back in the present, Makoto cries uncontrollably. Watching his sister being destroyed forever drives him insane with rage. He screams with overwhelming anger. After that scream, a massive red energy bursts out of his body, and a terrifying aura surrounds him. This transformation shocks Haruto, and even makes him slightly afraid of his presence. He's stunned by Makoto's new form with horns and a beast-like appearance. Makoto attacks him. He lets out a terrifying roar and gathers a kind of magical power never seen before. The ground shakes from his roar, and a powerful gust of wind blows Haruto away. He then uses magic on his sister, trying to bring her back to life. Her body begins to heal. Haruto is confused, because he was sure his sword would end her permanently. He wonders what kind of power this is, and what kind of transformation this body has gone through. Seeing Makoto's racial transformation, Haruto feels uneasy. This was something completely unexpected, and he doesn't understand what just happened. But now, his target is the brother. Kira wants to eliminate Kiryu Makoto once and for all, and charges forward with full power. As he attacks, Makoto suddenly disappears with his sister, and reappears behind him. He gently places Minori's body on the ground. Haruto realizes that somehow, Makoto has learned how to fight. In his beast form, the hero attacks. Trying to tear him apart with his claws, Kira dodges, and a battle of speed and power begins. They both try to kill each other. Haruto grows angry that Makoto, because of his sister's death, has reached such a level of power. While he himself had to kill Makoto hundreds, maybe even thousands, of times just to grow stronger. Makoto lets out a sharp scream and attacks again. Kira refuses to accept the situation he's in. Another clash of power happens between them, and at first, neither of them can land a hit. But soon, Makoto throws Kira far away, making him feel pain for the first time in a long while. He admits that Kira is the first person to deal him this much damage at once, but there's no point in being proud. After all, he's just a descendant of an immortal, and he can't defeat him. Haruto smiles at the monster Makoto has become, barely reacting to the insult. Then both of them take a deep breath and jump into another series of constant attacks and defenses. Makoto prepares a black lightning spell and fires it at Kira. Haruto dodges, becoming even more furious. He uses his sword, trying to end his enemy permanently, and lands a cut on Makoto's shoulder. The attack nearly splits his body in two, and Haruto wants to make sure he dies. He leaps into the air, trying to drive his sword down into his body, but the hero has already healed. He creates a magical barrier that not only blocks the attack, but then he jumps forward and strikes Kira, using his strength to slam him to the ground. As Haruto falls, Makoto slowly walks toward him. Kira can't believe he's about to die, and he doesn't want his end to be like this. At that moment, Minori wakes up even after being struck by the sword that stops regeneration. She sees her brother stepping back in fear. At the same time, Haruto awakens in a half-demonic form, and she's shocked to see him. She thought she had been cut in half by the sword, and now she's confused about what's happening, and whether that terrifying creature is really her brother. Then Haruto, in his true form, says that he never thought he would show this to anyone. Wings emerge from his back, and he declares that the immortal race will have to pay a heavy price. Filled with hatred, he charges forward to launch a ruthless attack. He and Makoto clash with hellish power, releasing an overwhelming force. His sister watches them fighting at incredible speed in the sky. Completely stunned, Kira attacks with a demonic face, trying to use his sword against the hero. But Makoto grabs the blade with his bare hands and prepares a magical blast, which he releases from his mouth. The attack hits Haruto directly, launching him off the ground and causing intense pain, but he endures it and strikes back with his sword, slamming the hero into the ground. He attacks again, sending him flying once more. Makoto slides across the ground, then charges back at his enemy, letting out a deep roar. He slices the neck of the Biokern leader, causing intense pain. But Haruto takes advantage of the situation and cuts off Makoto's head. He believes that once his neck is cut by that sword, healing will be impossible. He asks if the immortal is finally experiencing real death. Laughing loudly, he suddenly stops when he sees a magical circle forming around Makoto's body. Makoto's head quickly reattaches to his neck, and Haruto notices the geometric pattern of the magic. He sees that the circle is shaped like a clock, and realizes that Makoto used magic to rewind time. The reversal of Makoto and his sister's deaths completely terrifies Kira. Laughing, he calls it impossible for an immortal to use that technique multiple times. Kira draws his sword and unleashes the same strike that once killed the Demon King of Hell, ready to end the battle. In response, Makoto prepares a spell, channeling a purple energy into his weapon. Both of them unleash their strongest attacks, each trying to erase the other's existence. With superior strength, Kira overwhelms Makoto's attack, thinking he has won. His sword cuts through the hero's massive power, making it seem like the clash is lost. But at that exact moment, Minori appears. Using her magic, she places her hand on her brother's back and shouts that they will win. When Makoto feels Minori's touch, everything changes. He thanks her. A new surge of power rises within him to fulfill their revenge. Kira shouts that he has killed them hundreds of times before, and this is nothing. He claims that their fate was always to die by his hands. Minori replies that if their fate is to keep coming back to life, then that fate is about to change, because now they will erase him from existence. At that moment, Makoto unleashes an overwhelming magical blast. The